Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. New card reveals just came out, and we got the new champion as well as this new vocab. So now we have Updraft. Shuffle a card into your deck and reduce its cost by 1. This actually seems like a very strong effect. Here we see the dedicant of the challenge. When I'm summoned, updraft your hand, so all of the cards in your hand get shuffled into your deck and reduce their cost by 1. So updraft your hand and grant me 1/1 for each card updrafted, and then draw 2. So pairing this both with draw and the updraft seems incredibly strong. I think this will be a very fun mechanic to build around. All right, let's get into the rest of the card reveals. So we have the new champion revealed, Nilah, or Nilah. Like I thought yesterday, she is a 2-cost champion, but I thought she was going to have quick attack. They actually gave her brash, and her whole mechanic really works around this quite well. So a 2-cost, 2/3, very solid stat line. Always great to have another 2-cost champion in Path of Champions with that brash. Now her attack effect, create a slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck. That slipstream, if you don't remember, is a 1-cost burst. Draw 2 cards and give them fleeting. So attack, she creates a slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck, and her level up is you've drawn 16 cards. So she actually might be a champion that would use the Gravedigger Spade, or I forget exactly what the relic's called because no one ever uses it, but it's draw 1 and give it fleeting. So she might actually be a champion that wants to use that, which would be pretty awesome. Her level up then, she goes to a 3/4 and now has attack, create the slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck, so that's the same. But now deal 2 damage to all enemies and the enemy nexus. They can't drop below 1 health from this damage. So it's some great poke damage, but it's not actually going to be able to kill anything. But since she has brash, and many of our other cards do as well, it's essentially just making it so that they can't block your attack. This is really making her feel like a just flat out better version of Nocturne. Nocturne, built around the fearsome mechanic, and he's trying to reduce down people's power. Here, reducing down their health so they're easier to kill is awesome, and also having that effect of making it so they're less likely to be able to block you. I think this is going to be a pretty awesome champion to play. Looking forward to how they add her to Path of Champions. And her champion spell is that Formless Blade that we saw yesterday, so that deal 2 to a unit, and it can't drop below 1 health. So using the Grand General's counterplan might be pretty good on her, since this will be a very cheap spell and it'll be great for reducing down enemy power. I think Nilah is going to pair amazingly well with Enfeebling Strike, where when you damage someone, you also are reducing down their power. It seems like they're going to have a lot of damage, even if that damage can't actually kill the target. Let's also take a look at the champion art before we move on. So again, all the characters that we've kind of already seen. Really do like it when they put other cards in more than one splash art, but it looks like a fairly nice scene. And then for the level up, we see again they are attacking, or they're defending their attack from this Kraken. I'm not sure exactly what creature that is behind them. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. I am interested on who this character actually is supposed to be. All right, next up we have Joy Unending. So 3-cost burst, give allies 1 power this round, and heal damaged allies 2. This is a very strong effect, especially if you can have a full board, so more units are benefiting from this. Buffing up all your units and healing them, very strong, especially just for being a 3-cost and a burst speed spell. Taking a look at the card art, very similar to what we've seen so far. This might be the item that's on her hip that has like Demon of Joy inside of it, I believe. Yeah, if we take a look, that is the same item that's on her hip. All right, next up, we have the Master Lookout. So 1-cost, 2/1. Once you've drawn 3 or more cards in a round of this game, grant me 1/1 and brash. So if you've already done that and then you play this card, he'll immediately get those buffs. This seems like a pretty solid card because you're going to be getting that 1/1 and brash fairly easily. So this is going to be more of a 3/2, which is a solid stat line for a 1-cost, especially if we end up having this in our starting deck with some items on it. Taking a look at the splash art. Wow, those fish are something else. Again, just showing more of the scene of them all on the boat. All right, next up, we already glanced at this card before, but it's the Dedicant of the Challenge. So 4-cost, 2/1, but then when I'm summoned, updraft your hand to grant me 1/1 for each card updrafted, and then draw 2. So this is going to be a great card to shuffle your whole deck, or your whole hand that is, into your deck, and then buff himself up. If you could play this earlier on, so we get a little bit of cost reduction on this, it could be very strong, especially if you have a fairly large hand, which you should be able to since you're having so many draw cards. And this will especially be good if you have a lot of those fleeting cards that you won't be able to play. This is a way that you can benefit from those cards not actually going away because you're shuffling them back into your deck. This really seems like a champion that's going to want to get all the draw possible, so that one relic we never use might actually get used for once. Taking a look at the card art, again, just giving us more perspective of the scene we've already seen in several of the other ones. Now, last up, we have the Tide Dancer. This looks like the ship that all the other scenes have been showcasing. So it's a 6 cost, 3/5. When I'm summoned to draw a Nilah, and then each round, when you play your third card, give allies 2 power and brash this round. When I would gain fleeting, reveal me instead. So nice that since this is a more expensive card, if it is drawn from your fleeting, you're not actually having to discard it, but the enemy will know that you have it. Probably shouldn't really matter for Path of Champions too much. But again, this card is trying to have you focus on playing at least 3 cards every single round. So she will play very similar to Samira, which I believe I mentioned in the previous video. Glad that some of my predictions were on point. But using this card to give all of your allies that brash and 2 power is going to pair very nicely for when you have your Nilah leveled up, since she'll be able to reduce down everyone's health so that they won't be able to block your board. Seems like a solid card. Normally this type of card isn't put in the starting deck. It would be great if it was, but this is probably something you just want to look for in shops when you're playing. Taking a look at the card art, you can see, and it's been kind of showcased in a lot of the other ones, but they are in Bilgewater, but they do have a very fancy boat. I believe this type of boat is called a hydrofoil, if I remember correctly. So that is all the cards that got revealed today. This is actually really exciting. Wasn't that excited about the cards yesterday, but Nilah looks like a very fun champion. Awesome, it's another 2 cost, so it's one that you can really play with and enjoy from the very start of the game. They do look like they have some very interesting mechanics, and while they will play somewhat similar to maybe like Samira, I do think their playstyle overall will feel quite unique. Also, that updraft mechanic does seem like it'll be quite fun. Hopefully we get a lot more cards that have that mechanic built in. All right, let me know what you think of all of these cards down below. And if you enjoy all this Path of Champions content, definitely like and subscribe.